Only a week ago, I posted a video about the horrific terrorist attack in Manchester and Theresa May's utterly hypocritical reaction to that tragedy. On Saturday night, there was another attack, in London this time.
There are reports of a number of casualties as a result of an incident that possibly involved a vehicle and a knife in London Bridge.
7 people have died, and at least 20 are in hospital with severe injuries.
20, 30 people trying to sort of run inside the pub.
And there's about 20 armed police on the bridge at the moment.
As clear as it could be that it was police gunfire.
You heard a man on the phone saying there's been a stabbing.
Then we might see the terror threat raised again.
I weep. I weep for the innocent people needlessly slaughtered in both London and Manchester. I weep for the families and friends of the victims. I weep for the fear that is now gripping this nation. But most of all, I weep for this.
This is, as we all know, the third terrorist attack Britain has experienced in the last 3 months.
There she is, our great leader. Only hours prior to this speech, Theresa May suspended general election campaigning in the wake of this attack.
As a mark of respect, the 2 political parties have suspended our national campaigns for today.
At least that's what she told us.
We cannot and must not pretend that things can continue as they are. Things need to change, and they need to change in 4 important ways.
And yet, there she is, setting out a 4-point plan to curb terrorism right from the steps of number 10. Campaigning for your votes. May is acting like an autocrat. She thinks she's above the rules of political engagement. I'm sorry, you ain't fooling us, because this, Theresa May, was on your watch. Unsurprisingly, the right wing are already attacking and blaming Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party.
It also means being tough against terrorism, and that's where Mr. Corbyn is weak. That's where he lets himself down.
Excuse me? You what? I'm sorry, I don't think I heard you. This is Jeremy Corbyn's fault! Because the last time I checked, it was the Conservative Party who have been in power for the last 7 years. It was the Conservatives who cut police numbers. The Conservatives who closed A&E departments. The Conservatives who staffed the NHS. Cut bursaries. Cut welfare. Cut school funding. How dare you blame Jeremy Corbyn? How dare you blame anyone other than this vile, unfeeling, malicious excuse for a political party? On her watch! May now says that the internet has to be regulated in the aftermath of this attack.
We need to work with allied democratic governments to reach international agreements that regulate cyberspace to prevent the spread of extremist and terrorism planning.
She says this after enforcing the strictest privacy-invading laws this country has ever seen. The Snoopers Charter back in November 2016.
I think most people rightly think that surveillance should be targeted at those that need to be identified, etc. But it shouldn't be general and shouldn't apply to the public in general and them in particular.
I think it would be world-leading oversight arrangements within the bill.
The internet is already regulated thanks to her, and has it helped? Has it? Fuck! Their countermeasures have accomplished nothing. Nothing. Look what's happening out there. There's been 3 terrorist attacks in just over 3 months. And it was her, the great Theresa May, who cut 20,000 frontline police officers during her 6-year duration as Home Secretary.
Today you've said that neighbourhood police officers are an endangered species. I have to tell you that this kind of scaremongering does nobody any good.
On her watch!
I want to thank and pay tribute to the professionalism and bravery of the police and the emergency services.
She applauds the emergency services in well-rehearsed speeches and then cuts their departments the next. She claims to be giving the police all the tools they need to do their job. But the current Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, refuses to rule out further police cuts.
What party of law and order, as you put it, cuts 20,000 police officers?
We have a force welfare fund, which is a charity. And we are now seeing police officers come to that charity for food vouchers.
Well, I think it is about police numbers because it's low-level intelligence which gives you the information.
It's not about policing so much.
Neighbourhood policing was critical to dealing with terrorism. I'd ask you to seriously reconsider the budget and the level of cuts over the next 5 years.
In fact, if the Tories get re-elected, we'll see the smallest police force in 40 years, with 16,000 more police officers cut by 2022. And now Steve Hilton, David Cameron's former strategy chief, has called for Theresa May's resignation, saying she is responsible for security failures of London Bridge, Manchester and Westminster Bridge, should be resigning, not seeking re-election. May praises the NHS for saving lives during these terror attacks, then flogs its land to the cheapest bidder, the Naylor Report. Oh, never heard of it? Well, fucking look it up!
The Naylor Report, which set out what was needed, and we're backing the proposals in the Naylor Report.
The Naylor Report says the NHS needs to sell off its assets to private developers, and that hospitals should be denied access to public funds in order to get them to sell their assets.
Literally forcing them to sell the land from under their feet, and once it's gone, it's gone. May has asked us to be quiet. Suspend. Stop. Listen to me, she says. Listen to me. Well, not this time. It would be a disservice, a disrespect to those who have needlessly lost their lives at the hand of the Conservative Party's gross incompetence for 7 long years, and their attempts to detract from the fact that they are the ones enabling extremism by selling arms to human rights abusing nations.
Saudi Arabia are the country responsible for IS, and they support IS. We supply arms to Saudi Arabia through...
Why? I'm sorry, come on. Come on.
This is censorship. I have suffered censorship for 10 years. People don't know about these things because of censorship.
That's Amber Rudd, our Home Secretary at a hustings, seizing the microphone from Nicholas Wilson, simply for speaking the truth. Shh. And now, US-led coalition airstrikes have killed 484 innocent civilians in Syria and Iraq, led by Trump, who may refuse to condemn the pulling out of the Paris Agreement.
That disadvantages the United States.
Whose hand she held so gently going down those steps. Salman Abedi, the man who committed the murders in Manchester, was part of an extremist group and well known to the authorities. And yet, they did nothing. The woman now saying the UK hasn't done enough to tackle terrorism was in charge of tackling terrorism for 6 years. And this is her legacy on her watch. And that's why I won't be silent. We cannot be silent. We will not be silent, Theresa May, while you lie and lie.
But more armed police officers on the streets than ever before, we're told?
No.
Armed police officers on the streets than ever before?
No, they're not. Basically, people that are alleging that are lying.
So the government are lying?
Yes.
And the funny thing? Jeremy Corbyn takes the blame. Why? Ask yourself, why? He knew! He was there! He said it!
Thousands more deaths in Iraq will not make things right. It will set off a spiral of conflict, of hate, of misery, of desperation that will fuel the wars, the conflict, the terrorism, the depression and the misery of future generations.
He knew this would happen. All of it. And this government was warned. And they did nothing. And now people are dying. And we're afraid.
But it is time to say enough is enough.
Yes, Theresa May. Enough is enough. You're the one fueling this fire. This hatred, this fear. With you, I feel no warmth. I feel no hope. Hope for a future that I can be proud of. You've had 7 years. Is this the best you can do? Is this the best we can hope for? Cutting those who heal us. Cutting those who protect us. Cutting those who teach us. Kill the foxes.
Personally, I've always been in favour of fox hunting.
Frack our lands.
People got the power! People got the power!
Cuts, lies.
I'm not going to be calling a snap election. The government should call a general election.
Strong and stable.
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 Strong and stable. Well, I've had it. We've all had it. Because this, Theresa May, was on your watch.
Things need to change.
You say things need to change? I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I think that's the first thing I've ever agreed with you on. What else can I say, Theresa May? Enough is enough.